Hey everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Scalable Expert Podcast. I am thrilled that you're here. Hey, in this episode, I want to talk about an experience that I know that many of our clients and other scalable experts out there sort of trip on as they are growing and scaling their business. So, a lot of times when people come in, they're transferring from an overworked expert operator into a scalable expert. One of the things that we do as we're taking them through the infinite scale method is in phase one is really finding your focus, right? How do you take your IP, what you've been doing in helping your customers and clients, either in services or one-on-one offers or coaching or whatever it is that you're doing, start to package that into an experience that you can grow and scale. One of the ways that we do that is we help our customers really capture the power of one customer, one problem to one result, right? Or transformation into that signature methodology or capturing and packaging your IP. A lot of times in this phase, people get that aha moment of like, okay, I can take all the things that I've been doing, all of the services, all of the one-off custom requests that people have, and start to own the process, start to own how you show up and how you help customers, which then starts to change the game. At that point in time, as you're really dialing in like who it is you're helping, that one ideal avatar that you want to be helping, and solving that one problem that they have the highest desire to solve, and helping them get to that outcome or that result or that transformation that they're looking for, right? You can look at all of that, create that into your signature proprietary IP path, your framework, and start to really see how you can shift your business, creating that one signature core offer that allows you to deliver that experience, the kind of the fastest path from point A to point B. A lot of that is fairly straightforward for people. The hardest part in that is actually just finding your focus, right? And then getting out of your head, taking all of that knowledge and expertise that you have and distilling it down to a path that helps somebody go from point A to point B. Once you get through all of that, then you move into phase two, which is really like, okay, now you're going to package it. Now you're going to test it with real customers and start to really dial in your scalable engagement so you can deliver an experience at scale, get more and more people into your signature experience, whatever that looks like. So once you get through phase one and phase two, then you're like, okay, I've got this. I've done my transition from being overwhelmed, doing all of the things, to really honing in on your core experience and delivering a transformation to those ideal clients that you have. Now, all that's great. If you are already through that process, congratulations. You have definitely started to shift how you are showing up in your business. So hopefully you're starting to see that you're not overwhelmed by your calendar anymore, right? You're really able to start serving at the highest level without being at capacity and having it take all of your time and attention. But here's what starts to happen is as you're like, okay, great, now I'm ready to grow and scale this. I'm ready to keep adding more and more people. What starts to happen is that distraction sets in. Loss of focus starts to set in because instead of saying, okay, how do I continue to scale by just serving my ideal customer, continuing to put more and more people into your signature offer, what starts to happen, and maybe this is because we're all creators, maybe this is because where people are in their business, where they shift from creating to now marketing and selling, and they get distracted by the marketing elements of it. But what starts to happen is a dilution of efforts. Let me explain what I'm talking about. So when you start to shift into, well, I want to grow this, I want this to be bigger, I want this to start scaling, what starts to happen is you look at all the opportunities that are out there. So say you have some customers that you've been serving and they're like, wow, it would be really great if this happened. And then you're like, great, I'll do that. That's a great idea. So you add that element in. Maybe you have a prospect that comes to you and says, you know what, this is really great. I really like your methodology and I really like your core offer, but I would like to have it delivered to me in this way. And you're like, great, let's do that. And so then you shift and create a new way of delivering your signature methodology based on what that one person is asking for. And then you're like, oh, well, I have this great idea. I was listening to this thing, and now I can create this new thing based on my methodology for this new audience and sell to this new audience. And then I was looking at potentially being able to offer my methodology in this new way to this other audience over here because somebody was asking about it. So what starts to happen is you get really excited about all these people you could potentially be helping, and you lose sight of who your ideal client is and how you have specifically and purposefully created an experience for them that gives them the fastest path from point A to point B. And what starts to happen is you get overwhelmed again. It's just overwhelmed with something different than what you were overwhelmed with at the time that you started down this journey of becoming a scalable expert. So I have a client right now, and she has a solid methodology, a solid signature offer and experience that she sells. She's been able to sell it. She's tested it with her market. She has a lot of sort of, I would say, medium and hot buyers who have been a part of her journey, both in testing this new sort of packaged experience that she has and in starting to grow it beyond where it is currently selling, right? But it's not moving fast enough, right? It's not moving fast enough for her. So she wants to grow and scale this, exponentially, and she wants to do it very quickly. Now, here's the rub, here's the problem, is first of all, one of the things that I always tell my clients, this client and other clients that I work with, is you are starting a new business. You're starting a new segment of your business. Just like starting your business from scratch the very first time that you started it, it doesn't happen. You don't go from 0 to 1,000,000 in like a day, right? Doesn't happen. You have to go through and do the reps. You have to build the systems. You have to build the engines that allow the business to start to exponentially grow. And so you have to have a little patience. You have to know that what you're doing is planting the seeds. If you've tested your new solution, if you have tested your methodology and it is dialed in, it is producing the results that you anticipate, your clients that you have in it are happy and they're getting results, you know that you're on the right track. And now it's a matter of catching that momentum that your authority is starting to build, but it's not going to happen overnight. So when you go out to market and you start to move beyond the people who are already in your world, so that warm and hot audience, those are the people who are already in your world. They already know, like, and trust you. They know that what you have to offer is going to help them. Those are the kind of the juicy sales, right? That's really easy for you to capture those people and get them into your world so that you can start serving them and getting them results. That's where you start with those people. When you're looking to grow and scale, you're starting to move out to a colder audience, meaning people don't know you yet. They don't know and like and trust you yet because they don't know what you have to offer. So when you go out to that market, you have to start putting hooks out into the water. However, you need to put hooks out on the water to try and gain their attention based on who it is that you're serving. So this is where things start to go a little south, is that you want to move quickly. You want to get out to more and more people. You want to start serving a wider audience. And so you lose sight of who your ideal avatar is and you just start talking to anyone who will listen, right? And one of the things that I always say is just picture yourself. So like close your eyes for a second and just picture yourself in the middle of a super busy area, right? So maybe you're out on Times Square in New York City and there are people all over. There are hundreds and hundreds of people all just around you. And if you just yell out, I can help you, I can help you, then what happens is you're going to have some people who maybe are next to you are going to be like, well, how can you help me? And you're like, let me tell you. But these are just random people who you have shouted out to in the world, and they may not have the problem that you are most uniquely qualified to solve with your methodology and your signature solution. And that is not failing at being able to help a wider market. That is just the fact that you are not speaking to your ideal avatar. So consider if you were in a stadium, and in that stadium were only your ideal customers and you were speaking to them, what would you say? How would you get their attention so they knew that you are the person that can help them get from where they are today to where they want to go? That is a completely different lens in which to think about the conversation. So going back to my client that I have, she has sort of segmented her marketing efforts into 6 different audiences, meaning 6 different ideal avatars. Now, this could work, right, if you were to stack the avatars across time, but it doesn't work when you're trying to speak to 6 different types of people all at the same time. Because what happens is when you go out to marketing, not only is it very, very expensive to speak to all of those people at the same time, but your message gets diluted, right? You get out to, like, again, go out to Times Square and you have 6 different people that you're trying to talk to. And they're like, well, I don't know. Is this going to solve my problem? Well, I'm not sure. Like, it kind of feels like it's the right thing, but I'm not positive. And it's because you're trying to have a message for 6 different people. So things get complicated and convoluted. And if you're confused, then your customer is for sure confused. So often when we're trying to grow and scale, and we don't have unlimited resources, we don't have unlimited, time and effort and energy, what happens is instead of scaling by focusing and really dialing in and owning the market, there's like this dilution that starts to happen, which is sort of what my client is dealing with right now, which is, well, I haven't been able to gain traction here, so I'm going to move here. I haven't been able to gain traction here, so I'm going to move here. Or this is going slower than I thought, so now I'm going to move in this direction. Or I don't like how I've been attracting these people, so now I'm going to move over here. And so what's happening is she is trying to shift to figure out where she's going to gain traction and who it is exactly that she is helping, right? So she's done the work in the past. She's sort of forgotten about the work that she's done in the past in terms of who the ideal customer is. Or she thought she knew who the ideal customer was, sort of skipped that step, moved into a methodology that she was already working through, and now is in the place of like, oh, well, who is going to hear and resonate with this message the most? So instead of putting hooks out to attract the people that are ideal for the solution, she is putting hooks out to determine who the audience is. That is a different problem, and that problem is not going to get her any closer to growing and scaling very quickly. It's going to get her some experience in looking at who she's hitting and who she's not hitting. But what it's doing is it's actually slowing her down, even though she's doing a lot of activities, right? She's speaking to a lot of people. She's doing different marketing activities, which is taking up her time to get more eyeballs on what she's doing. But it's not directed and it's not specific. And so what's going to happen is it's actually going to slow her down because she's not dialing in specifically who her ideal avatar is. So my recommendation to her and to anyone who's kind of dealing with this, because it's a very, very common challenge, especially in the stage of the game, when you're kind of looking a little bit at a wider lens, or if things aren't going as fast as you want them to be going, is to start to widen who it is you're serving. And instead, double down on who it is that is your ideal customer for this signature offer that you have, and really hone in on how do you speak to them? How do you get their attention? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? What are the things that they're telling themselves as they're struggling to get to the outcome that your solution will give them, right? So this is the time to focus on one avatar, not to go wide with lots of different avatars. Put the hooks out for one avatar, not hooks out for 6 or 7 or more avatars. So if you're dealing with this, again, this is very, very common. This is part of the growth and scaling process. And we talk about this in phase 1 is the power of one, the power of really focusing. That is a discipline, my friends, of owning and running your business. Is how do you know how to strategically focus versus chasing kind of the opportunities or the shiny objects that are out there that may just be distracting you from really being able to grow and scale in the fastest way that is possible for you and your business. So if you're dealing with this, again, I'm going to tell you that this is a part of the process, right? The discipline of going back and saying, okay, now I have to refocus on who it is I'm serving, what problem and results am I delivering to them, and how am I giving them the fastest path to being able to go from point A to point B. That is where you start to focus and really get to know your avatar at a completely different level. That is where you start diving in before you go wide. So that, my friends, is my tip for the day. If you need help with this, if you just want to talk through this because you're like, oh yeah, yep, that's kind of me, as I've been doing that and getting distracted and starting to build all sorts of new things because the one thing that I'm working on is not gaining traction as quickly as I want, this episode is for you. Go back and listen to it again. Start to sketch out and go back to that work that you did on really identifying who it is you're serving, what problem you are helping them solve, what is the solution that they're looking for, what is that result or transformation that they want to have happen, and then what is the path, the fastest path that helps them get there. Go back to that, dial that in, really get a chance to speak directly to your ideal customer on how you can help them make that transformation. And that is how you start to build and grow and scale your infinitely scalable business. If you love this episode, give it a rating and share it with a colleague or a friend. Also, go check out any of the great tools and resources that we have for you out on TaraLBryan.com. And until next time, scale your business, not your calendar.